everyone, this is Mike, and in today's video we'll take a look at 5 useful tips for the DJI Spark. I've had the Spark for about 2 weeks now, so I've had the chance to test it in multiple locations, test different settings, and generally learn a lot more useful things that I would like to share with you guys today. So without any further ado, let's check tip number 1. This first tip comes in handy in emergency situations or accidents, and it will help you turn off the motors of the Spark immediately. So here's how to do it. While the Spark is hovering in the air, simply grab it by its stomach and flip it over so it's upside down. Right from the moment you grab it, you'll feel some resistance from the aircraft itself, which is completely normal, but eventually if you apply it a bit of pressure, it will give in and you'll be able to flip it over, which will stop the motors in an instant. Now that's definitely not the best way to turn off the motors of your drone every time, but I think it's important to know what your drone is capable of and that DJI has actually implemented this as a safety mechanism. So next time while you're flying and you have an emergency situation or it suddenly starts raining, keep that feature in mind. This next tip applies for the people who have bought the Spark's remote controller separately or are having any issues with connecting the remote controller to the Spark. Personally, I had an issue myself the other day and I couldn't connect my remote controller to the Spark, although everything seemed to work fine just the day before. So here's how to fix the issue. To successfully link the remote controller with your Spark, you need to manually reset the connection and establish it again. To do that, you'll need to power on both your drone and remote controller and connect them via Wi-Fi. You'll need to press and hold the power button of the drone for a couple of seconds until you hear one beep. Then hit the pause, function key and the customizable button on the back of the remote controller until you hear another beeping sound. This means the two devices are pairing. Wait until you see a green light on your remote controller, then you're good to go and you can use your remote controller. Speaking of the remote controller, my next tip is about boosting the signal between the remote controller and the drone itself. Depending on your location and the magnetic interference around you, quite often you'll be in situations where you're getting weak signal, transmission problems, black screen on your phone, and you won't be able to follow the camera's movement, and generally you'll be frustrated with the signal of the Spark. So to fix that, you'll need to buy 2 very cheap things. The first one is an OTG device and the second one is a regular cable to connect the OTG device to your phone. Here are the ones that I've picked up for myself. They only cost a couple of bucks and I'll link them in the description if you want to check them out. So to make this work, you'll need to connect your remote controller to the Spark just like you normally do via Wi-Fi. Then you need to start the DJI Go 4 app and make sure everything is running smoothly and you're able to control the drone. And I usually do that by rotating the gimbal wheel from the remote to see if it goes up or down. Once you do that, connect the OTG device to the remote controller and then connect your phone via the lightning cable or micro USB cable, depending on what kind of phone you have. After this is done, I personally prefer to put my phone into airplane mode so both my Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are turned off. This greatly helps with the connection. And as you can see, nothing is turned on at the moment, but when I go back to the DJI Go app, I can still control the gimbal of the drone and take off safely. I've used this fix a couple of times already and I'm really satisfied with the results. The signal is much better than before, so I definitely recommend this fix for the issue. And once again, both the things that I'm using are linked in the description if you want to check them out. In case DJI removes a feature you really like or you're just experiencing buggy firmware and you want to downgrade, there is a very simple fix that most people are not aware of. To check out your firmware settings, simply go to the main screen of the DJI Go app and hold the 3 dots on top right corner of the screen for a couple of seconds. When you release, you will see the current version of your firmware as well as options to upgrade or downgrade to another version of your choice. As the Spark is still quite new, there aren't that many firmware updates yet, but this feature will come in handy once the update starts rolling every week or so in the typical DJI manner, so make sure you remember this tip for later. My last tip is about maximizing your flight time by planning your route and shots beforehand. As the Spark's battery life is not that great, I can only squeeze 10 or 12 minutes of flight time from each battery, and even though I have 2 right now, it's definitely not enough. What I like to do is check the weather forecast before I go out with my drone, so I'm sure there isn't going to be a lot of wind or there isn't going to rain on the spot where I'm trying to film. I highly recommend the UAV Forecast app, which is free and works both on Android and iOS devices. It allows you to quickly and easily check the wind speed, the sunrise and the sunset times, the cloud coverage and many other settings every time before you head out. Another thing I like to do when I'm still at home is to explore Google Maps and scout for interesting locations beforehand. That way, when I arrive on the location, I can simply unpack and get to work. And there you have it, guys. Those are my 5 tips for the DJI Spark. I really hope you found them useful. Please hit that like button if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Ciao!